In this video, I'm going to show you the Park DAG-3. DAG stands for Derailleur Adjustment Guide. For those of you who aren't familiar with this tool, it allows you to straighten your rear derailleur hanger. So there are times when you bend your derailleur hanger. You may hit it on a rock or a stick, you may fall over, you may lean your bike against something, and it may just bend your derailleur hanger. Also, don't assume that a brand new bike has a perfectly straight derailleur hanger. There are times when you'll get a brand new bike and the derailleur hanger needs to be adjusted a bit, and this tool allows you to do that. Now, I've mentioned before in some other videos the classic sign that your derailleur hanger is bent, assuming you can't eyeball it and tell that it's bent. Sometimes you can. There are times where your bike will shift well in one end of your cassette. So maybe you're in the bigger cogs at the upper end of the cassette, and you may adjust your derailleur so that it's shifting well, and then you go into the lower end of the cassette and it skips. And so again, that's a sign that your derailleur hanger may be bent. Now, I'll just preface this. You cannot always straighten your derailleur hanger. If it's really bent, chances are it's going to snap if you try to move it back. But this tool really allows you to tweak it, and this thing has saved me so many times. So I'm going to demonstrate how this works. I'm also going to show you how it's different than the DAG-1. So I've had the DAG-1 in my possession for a long time. But one thing about the DAG-1 is the head is quite a bit bigger. And so I had a demo bike in my fleet one time where the tubes of the frame were too thick to allow this to fit onto the derailleur hanger. And so you'll see that they made the head smaller, so that should alleviate that problem. Another really good change that they've made to the DAG-3 is this guide flips out of the way. So what you do is you take your measurement against the rim, and then when it's time to move it, which I'll demonstrate here in a few minutes, you can rotate that out of the way. You rotate the tool onto the rim, and then you can flip this back. And it also uses friction inside this little plastic head. So on the old one, you actually had a knob that you turned. So you turn this knob, and then you move this back, and then you would move it back into place and tighten the knob. You'll also notice this does not rotate out of the way, and that's why you had to move this out. Otherwise, it would hit your spokes when you rotate the tool. So those are some really good improvements that will allow this process to go quite a bit faster. I'm going to demonstrate how this works. So we've got to remove the rear derailleur from the bike. I'm going to lock the cage forward before I do that because it's a SRAM. Shimano, you wouldn't be able to do that. You would just undo the clutch to make the tension less. Rear derailleurs usually come off with a 5mm Allen wrench, or in this case, a T30 Torx. And you want to leave the wheel on the bike because we're going to use the rim as a gauge. Okay, so with the derailleur off, let's hook up the tool. Okay, then I'm just going to take the head of the tool and thread it into the derailleur hanger. And then you want to take a vertical measurement, so this way, and then after you get that straight, then we'll do a horizontal. So I'm going to take the tool, I'm going to put it up against the rim, and I'm going to do it at the valve stem because I use the valve stem as my reference point. Once I get the tool touching the rim, I'm going to flip it out of the way. I'm going to spin the wheel. And you want to spin it clockwise so that you don't engage the free hub. And then I'm going to take a measurement down at the bottom. And Park says it needs to be about 4mm between the two measurements. So if the gauge goes in more than 4mm, or if the gauge is more than 4mm away from the rim at the other measurement point, then you've got to bend the derailleur hanger. So the way that you would do that is you would just flip the gauge out of the way. You would use the tool itself to put leverage on the derailleur hanger, and then take your measurement again. And that looks good. And then we're going to take our horizontal measurement, again using the valve stem. So have the tool touch the rim, and then rotate. And that's actually really good. So that's how you use the tool itself. And then when you're done, you just take out the tool and reinstall your rear derailleur. So that is the Park DAG-3 adjustment tool. It's not the cheapest tool you can add to your toolbox, but as you can see, it probably could save you a lot of headache in the future, especially if you're on a trip and you cannot go to a bike shop, you're out in the middle of nowhere, whatever. I mean, there's so many situations where you can use this thing. Now, I've made a more thorough tutorial on how to use the Park DAG, which I'll link in the description below. I use the DAG1, but everything that I showed is going to be the same except for how you flip this out of the way. So again, I'll link that video below. Any questions or comments that you have, leave those below. Thanks for watching.